Oh my God! Check this out. Watch this here, Tom. Watch this here, Tom. I'm so sorry to interrupt. Okay, go to other cases he's worked on. Go lower. Go up a little bit. Right there. Hang on. Right there. You will not even believe what I just found. Look at the case he worked on. Look for all the way in the bottom of miscellaneous, second line, 2021, 2022. Kaplan was presiding judge on matter relating towards Virginia Giuffre and Prince Andrew. Click on that on section. Watch what happens here. What happens to the case? Click on that's the one. Click right there. Zoom in and just go to the top. Yeah. Giuffre and Andrew reached, and the case was dismissed by the party stipulation in March 2022 without going to trial.
Prince Andrew.
So let me get this straight. This case, read the top. Federal court, Virginia. You know who Virginia Giuffre? I mean, we just talked about her, right?
Traffic girl from Epstein Island.
From Epstein Island, second son of for sexual assault under court, several sexual encounters with Andrew in the early 2000s at the age of 17 after being sex trafficked by American financier and convicted by sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Dismissed without going to trial, yet trumps $83.3 million.
Wow. What a freaking find.
Great find.
That is insane. All you gotta do is dig a little.
It's extremely unfortunate that I'm even shooting this video, but you may or may not have heard, but the lady Virginia Giuffre, and I may be mispronouncing her name. I've heard Giuffre. I've heard a lot of people pronounce it different ways, but the woman who came out and broke the lid as far as broke the news on what was going on Epstein Island with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. She broke the lid off and about her encounter, her situation with Prince Andrew and all the horrible things that had happened to her. Now, at the beginning of this video, you saw a clip from Patrick Bet-David, the PBD podcast, where ironically, the judge who handled the Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre case dismissed this case where this young lady who had been sex trafficked. And remember, YouTube with the algorithm, that's the only reason why I'll pronounce certain words different than what they actually are. But that case against that young woman, which everybody knows happened, was dismissed and thrown out. But ironically, that is the same judge who worked the Trump versus E. Jean Carroll case where there was no physical evidence. She didn't even remember anything. She never said that Trump physically attacked her. She said it was like some mental assault. And yet they granted her $81 million off one with no evidence. But yet Virginia Giuffre, who had tons of evidence, but it was against a power broker like Epstein and Prince Andrew, case was dismissed. That shows you that the underbelly of what's going on with these politicians, not just in America, but globally, it's a conglomerate. It's a big net. And a lot of times when people pop up trying to do right, they just picking them off one at a time. So now this young woman who came up unalived, and this is a week after getting hit by a bus. So in this video, I'm going to show you some really unique information or evidence that might even change your mind as to what's going on. So let me get into this one right here. This is a post that Virginia put up, and it says, because you may or may not know, she was hit by a bus at 110 miles an hour. The bus was going 110 miles an hour just the previous week or two before. So right here, she said, this year has been the worst start to a new year. But I won't bore anyone with the details, but I think it's important to note that when a school bus driver comes at you driving 110 kilometers, as we were slowing for a turn, that no matter what your car is made of, it might as well be a tin can. I've gone into kidney renal failure. They've given me 4 days to live, transferring me to a specialist hospital in urology. I'm ready to go, just not until I see my babies one last time. But you know what they say about wishes. Crap in one hand and wish in the other. And I guarantee it's still going to be crap at the end of the day. Thank you for all being the wonderful people of the world and for being a great part of my life. God bless you all, Virginia. So she gets hit by a bus. It's tore up. She's in the hospital. This is a picture of her face from the accident with the bus. So you mean to tell me that this woman gets hit by a bus, survives it, makes it through that, talks about her children and wanting to see her babies one last time, makes it through that, and then the next week just unalives herself? But here's some other information that has people really shaking their head about what happened. So this is what it says. The same woman who warned the world she was not willing to unalive herself, remember the YouTube algorithm, but you can read it right there, just was unalived by that exact thing after exposing one of the most powerful networks on earth. The coincidences are not coincidences. She was silenced permanently. Now look at this post that she put up. I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, form am I suicidal. I've made this known to my therapist and GP. I don't know if that's grandparents or if something happens to me, in the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted. And there's a picture of her with Prince Andrew, with Ghislaine Maxwell in the background. And her case was dropped, thrown out. If you enjoyed this video, do me a solid, hit that like button, because I'll never ask you for a cash app or a super chat, but you hitting that like button, it really does help the channel, help spread the information out. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And once you do, make sure you hit the notification bell and select all. That way you'll be notified when I upload new videos. But at the same time, the Trump case with E. Jean Carroll, she won that had no evidence. There was no physical anything. It happened 30 years ago that she said just in a random department store dressing room. And she won that 30 years ago, no evidence whatsoever, no witnesses, nobody remembers anything. And it just so happened that her story lines up with an episode of CSI, I believe, is allegedly, from what reports have been said. And if you ever watch this lady, listen, when women get assaulted, that's a major thing. And I'm all about believing women when they've been wrong. This lady is a whack job. And I'm not saying whack jobs cannot get assaulted, but if you paid attention to this case in this situation, there's something really wacky about this one on Trump. And that's not just a coincidence that all these cases on Trump are wacky. They was trying to get this man out of here. But let me get back to what was going on with her. This is a picture of her right there with the actual post that she made saying she is not willing to unalive herself. Now, here's a video of the mothers of another young lady who, quote unquote, unalived herself, who was also a victim of Epstein. Check this out.
A wreck, because she would disappear out of shame.
Authorities declared her daughter Carolyn dead due to an overdose in May of last year. She left behind 5 children and her mother. The only person somewhat responsible was Jeffrey Epstein, who committed suicide in jail.
I couldn't even sleep in my room because I've got all Carolyn's artifacts of memories we made. And I said to my son, I said, I can't sleep in my own room. All I see is Carolyn. Who's going to fix that?
Now that more than 150 names of persons associated with Epstein have been revealed, a sense of hope invade her and only wishes that those responsible face justice, even though she still has to live without her daughter.
I was literally robbed. I was a little, and those men need to know that. Not only did you rape our children, but you raped their mothers. It goes up a family tree, and they need to know that. They need to be held responsible for it.
Wow. And that's a mother's pain. Now this right here is good old Bill Clinton with Virginia Giuffre, the 171st person connected to the Clintons that has died from personal unaliving or mysterious circumstances. 171st person connected to the Clintons to have passed away. That's her with Bill. Now, why would Bill Clinton just be hanging out with a 17, 18-year-old random girl from the streets? Makes you wonder, don't it? But you don't have to wonder too hard. Now, here's a real bombshell. In her testimony, to show you how this connects back to the Democrat Party, not just Bill Clinton, everybody knows Epstein was down, and they try to lump Trump in with this Epstein thing. Let's just be real. You and I both know if Trump had anything to do with Epstein, they would have put that on blast all over the place. The fact that they have that 1 10-second clip where those two interacted, and then they got this AI recording out there where it's like supposed to be Epstein talking about Trump and how they were best friends. You know, the media would have had that everywhere. But you know who he really is connected to? The Democrats. He really is connected to Bill Clinton. He has a picture of Bill Clinton wearing a dress, literally a blue dress, a painting in his house, where when you walk in, the first thing you see is Bill Clinton in the dress. Do you know what type of power you have to take a former president, do an oil painting of him wearing the dress and put it up in your house and fear no retribution? Now it goes deeper, because she also testified, and the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, she testified with being with his billionaire brother Tom Pritzker. I'm sorry, the cousin of the Illinois governor, J.B. Pritzker. Thomas Pritzker, the cousin of Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois. Here's the actual testimony. Question, how many times have you been with Tom Pritzker? Do you know what that question means? I believe so. All right, and what's the answer to that? I believe I was with Tom once. Okay, I would like to ask you about your prior sworn statement. You understand you're under oath today, correct? Yes. All right. You previously made statements under oath, correct? Yes. And you previously authorized pleadings to be filed on your behalf, correct? Yes. By various attorneys, right? Yes. All right. You have included in your sworn statement allegations about my client, Ghislaine Maxwell, correct? Yes. And did you review it? So this is just her testifying how she slept with Tom Pritzker, governor of Illinois' cousin, who's J.B. Pritzker. So this rabbit hole goes deep, man. And last but not least, check out this story, because you want to know something. A lot of times the foreign news outlets, they're able to tell more truth when they're trying to hide something here in America. So I'm going to play this clip here. Check this out.
The breaking story overnight of Virginia Giuffre, who accused Prince Andrew of sexual assault. She has died at the age of 41, which is no age at all. In a statement issued yesterday, her family said she had taken her own life in a suburb of Perth, where she had been living for several years. They added Virginia was a fierce warrior in the fight against sexual abuse and sex trafficking. In the end, the toll of abuse is so heavy that it became unbearable for Virginia to handle its weight. Okay, joining me now is 7 News Perth reporter James Carmody. James, there you are. Thank you very much for joining us today. Can you bring us up to date, because this story is happening obviously live in Australia. Can you bring us up to date on what is actually going on with this story?
But Dawn, this happened overnight last night. About 10 minutes to 10, police and an ambulance were called to a rural property about an hour's drive north of Perth in a suburb called Neargabby. And that's where Virginia Giuffre has a small farm property. It's a hobby farm where she's been living. She has some horses and some chickens, and there's plenty of space there. They were called there and found a 41-year-old woman who the family has since confirmed was Virginia Giuffre. She was unresponsive, and police and ambulance officers were unable to revive her. Now, the family releasing a statement this morning, Perth time in Western Australia, saying that Ms. Giuffre had taken her own life by suicide after years suffering as the victim of sexual abuse and sex trafficking, a lifelong victim, they said. Now, major crime detectives here in Western Australia are investigating this death, but they've said there's nothing at this stage to indicate that there was anything suspicious.
Okay, I mean, obviously she's incredibly well known in the UK. Is she as well known in Australia?
People certainly know of Virginia Giuffre and her claims against Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew, but it wasn't that well known a fact that she had been, in fact, living in Western Australia and here in near Perth. But it did come into the news about a month ago. Miss Giuffre was involved in a crash, a traffic accident with a bus near that rural property where she lives, and was hospitalized. She posted to Instagram telling her followers that she only had days to live, and there was a
Wow. So as you can see, that's the report. And, you know, she posted about her only having a few days left after the bus crash, but she was healing. And then next thing you know, she comes up on the live. And it's so freaky to the point to where you got other people who are other survivors who are coming out. This woman right here, after Virginia Giuffre is reported unaliving, other Epstein survivors are stepping forward, making it clear to the world that they are not willing to unalive themselves. Juliette Bryan, who says she was taken by Epstein over 2 decades ago, claims she met Epstein while in Africa. He was with Bill Clinton and is familiar with the Clinton body count. Ryan also alleges that several Epstein victims have been unalived under suspicious circumstances and believe they are being picked off one by one over time. According to Bryan, survivors are now living in fear for their lives as their warnings continue to be ignored by the lamestream media. These witnesses and survivors need to be protected. Let's hear what she has to say. And it's a fact. They're starting to, there's a story about a guy back in the day. His name was Isaac Kappy. If you get a chance, look it up. Isaac Kappy, Isaac Kappy. And he was in Hollywood and he was an actor and had some roles, but he was hanging out with a lot of different people. Seth Green, he knew a lot of folks. And he started speaking truth to power and talking about what was going on with these children. And people really thought he was crazy because the internet was just kind of getting popular and people thought he was going crazy. And he did a video saying, hey, he is not willing to unalive himself. He is not depressed. There's nothing wrong with him. Next thing you know, he mysteriously jumps off of a freeway overpass in California head first and is unalive, no arrest made. They said it was an unaliving, even though there was a whole Isaac Cappy. And when you look at the names and the people that he was talking about, and he started letting it be known how he was being hunted, next thing you know, he was gone. And so there's got to be something to this. Martin Lawrence back in the day in Hollywood running around saying they're trying to unalive him when he was picked up and taken into the hospital where they said he had a stroke. You know, there's a lot of weird things that be happening with these Hollywood folks that get involved in this. I don't even know what you want, a cabal, I guess you could say. It really is almost like blood in, blood out. But for the children who are picked up and forced into it, they don't have a choice. And these folks have to live under pseudonym names and hiding for the rest of their life, all because they decided to speak truth to power. But let's hear what this woman has to say.
My name is Juliet Bryant, and I live in Cape Town, South Africa. I was kidnapped by Jeffrey Epstein 20 years ago. I am not suicidal, and I never ever will be. I also do not do any drugs. I met Epstein when he was in Africa with Bill Clinton. We all know about the Clinton body count. Another concerning fact is that one of the main women, a very brave angel, Carolyn, who testified against Ghislaine Maxwell, was found dead 6 months ago. It wasn't in the media until a few days ago. The only reason it was put in the media was because of a very, very brave Epstein victim. She doesn't want to be named. But there are other Epstein victims who've also died suspiciously. Carolyn was a beautiful, amazing, brave woman who planned a life on a chicken farm with her family. Instead, she was found dead in a hotel room. I want to speak out for safety and for other victims because it's very frightening when the media won't cover any of the victims' stories. A lot of my story hasn't been told in the media, and it's the same with a lot of other victims. And we actually all feel quite frightened with everything that's been going on. And as we know, this is not the first suspicious death related to the evil Maxwell empire. They also used to run the media. So maybe that's why victim stories are not being told to the media, and the victims of Epstein feel very frightened. Please all pray for Carolyn's family. And thank you for listening.
Wow, that lady looked terrifying. She didn't even speak about Virginia. This video was done back in, it doesn't show when this one, April 26th. Well, this was posted then, but I'm not sure when she did this, but it doesn't sound like she didn't even mention Virginia. So, hey, that's what's going on right now. Do you believe that there's more to this story? Do you believe that there's some, do you believe there's some shenanigans going on? And that there's some foul play that could be happening? Or do you believe she just might have been fed up and decided that enough was enough? I myself am of the crowd. I believe that there's a little funny shenanigans. You know, there's no, I don't believe in coincidences at all. And when this many people are being picked off, and especially after the lady just got hit by a bus, then puts out and survives it, then puts out a post saying she is not willing to unalive herself, then all of a sudden, just within a week, I don't know much about depression like that, but I don't know if it hits you and rocks you like that within a week's time and makes you go that deep into the dark abyss. But hey, you know, it is what it is, and we'll see how this plays out. But from what I understand that Virginia had one of those digital like safe setups to where when something happens to her, if she wasn't regularly checking in, her digital note gets released. And it goes out to the media, and it's going to expose more names. Now, that's what I was told. Allegedly, she has one of those digital tickers, it's digital time bomb, I guess is what you call it. I didn't want to say that. I'll probably blurt that word out for YouTube. But to where when something happens and the individual isn't checking in, then that means that something has happened to them, and the order is for the information to be released to outlets or whatever. So they say that one of those has been triggered by her not checking in. We'll see and watch it play out. But rest in heaven, rest in peace, rest in paradise to Virginia Giuffre. You finally get a chance to just be done with all of this madness that was going on here. And you know, and to those that have suffered from it, my heart goes out to you. Prayers out there for you, and I wish you nothing but peace. And to those who brought harm upon you, I wish them nothing but shame. But other than that, if you watched it this far, thank you so much for sticking with me and right now watching it. This is an unfortunate situation, but it's a real situation. So like the video if you haven't, post a comment, subscribe to the channel. Other than that, I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.